You ever think about how people crave love from everyone except the one who's been loving them the longest? They chase attention, chase validation, try to fill an emptiness that was never meant to be filled by another human being. They scroll through screens, beg for signs, break themselves just to feel seen. But there's something bigger, something ancient, that's been whispering to them the whole time. Words written long before they were born, meant only for them. A message that doesn't flatter, doesn't lie, doesn't change. It doesn't promise comfort. It promises purpose. But the problem is, most people are too busy chasing noise to recognize the handwriting. Love has always been written, not searched for. People act like love is some kind of scavenger hunt, like they have to travel miles, break hearts, lose themselves just to find it. They walk around with holes inside them, hoping someone else will fill them, never realizing those holes were never meant to be filled by people. They keep chasing faces, chasing moments, chasing attention. But what they're really chasing is something that's been written for them all along. It's already there. Ink on paper, eternal. But they don't read it. They rewrite it. They distort it. They ignore it because it doesn't sound like what they want to hear. You ever see how desperate people get for love? They call it romance, but it's panic. They'll trade their peace just to be noticed. They'll pretend to be something. They're not just to keep someone from leaving. They think love is a transaction. If I give enough, if I sacrifice enough, maybe I'll be enough. But real love doesn't negotiate. It doesn't beg. It doesn't need to be proven. It's not earned. It's revealed. It's not found in another person's validation. It's discovered in the quiet places where you finally stop performing. Love was written into existence before you ever took your first breath. It wasn't created when someone said they liked you or when someone stayed. It was there when everything else left. You don't search for it, you remember it. But that's the problem, isn't it? People forget. They forget they were loved before they were broken, before they were rejected, before they even learned what loneliness felt like. They think love is something fragile, temporary, conditional. They think it fades when people walk away. But love, the kind that's written in truth, doesn't leave. It doesn't need an audience to exist. The tragedy is that people read every message except the one meant for them. They open notifications faster than they open their own hearts. They read between the lines of text messages, but ignore the lines that were written for their soul. They ask for signs, for proof, for reasons to believe they're worth something, but it's all there, spelled out, waiting. Love isn't hiding. They are. Hiding behind distractions, behind pain, behind noise. Because reading what's already written means facing the uncomfortable truth that they were never unworthy. And that means they've been wasting their time begging for what was already theirs. You ever notice how people run from real love? Because it's heavy. It's honest. It doesn't just tell you you're beautiful. It shows you where you're broken. It doesn't just hold your hand. It makes you face the parts of yourself you've been pretending don't exist. Real love isn't gentle all the time. Sometimes it cuts, it cleans, it rebuilds. But people don't want that. They want love that flatters, not love that transforms. They want to be adored, not awakened. That's why they miss the one message that matters most. It's not always sweet, but it's always true. There's something about written love that never fades. Spoken words disappear, but what's written stays. You can ignore it, tear it up, deny it, but it doesn't vanish. It just waits. Patiently, quietly. Waiting for the moment you finally stop running long enough to look. Because love doesn't chase. It invites. It doesn't force. It calls. And when you finally read it, really read it, something inside you remembers. You remember that you were seen before you were seen, chosen before you achieved, forgiven before you fell. That's the kind of love no person can give, no mistake can ruin, no failure can erase. But people want to be the authors of their own story, so they keep editing, rewriting, trying to improve what was already perfect. They think they can design a better kind of love, one that fits their schedule, their ego, their comfort. But all they end up doing is complicating something that was meant to be simple. Love was written in a language deeper than desire. It's not made of promises. It's made of truth. It doesn't change its tone when you fall apart. It doesn't disappear when you stop deserving it. It's permanent ink. Love isn't something you find at the end of the road. It's the reason the road exists. It's not hiding in someone's eyes. It's been written across your entire life in invisible ink. You just need the right kind of pain, the right kind of silence to see it. That's the irony of it all. The thing everyone's searching for is the one thing that's never been missing. They just forgot how to read it. So they wander, and they chase, and they beg. They scroll through fake affection, mistake attention for care, mistake lust for connection. And all the while, the real thing waits, patient, unchanging, not asking for perfection, not demanding performance, just waiting for you to finally realize that the love you've been starving for was never lost, never hidden, never withheld. It's been written from the start, with your name on every line. The message was personal long before you were aware. Everyone walks around acting like they stumbled into existence, like their life is some random accident that just happened to fall into place. They think meaning is something they have to create, not something already carved into their bones. They chase purpose like it's hiding behind some door they haven't opened yet, when the truth is, it's been whispering their name since before they could even speak. The message was written for them, not for the crowd, not for the world, just them. But people don't like personal messages. They like noise. They like to blend in with the chaos, because being chosen makes them uncomfortable. It means responsibility. It means they can't pretend they don't know anymore. You ever notice how people ignore things that hit too close to home? The truth shows up in their lives over and over, disguised in pain, in loss, in coincidence, and they just shrug it off. They think life's random. But it's not random, it's precise. Every heartbreak, every delay, every unanswered prayer is part of the same letter written in a language only their soul understands. The problem is, they stopped listening. They traded their intuition for logic, their faith for convenience. They only believe what they can see, so they miss what's been meant for them all along. You think it's easy for a message to reach someone who refuses to open it. That's the tragedy. They cry about silence when the message has been delivered 1,000 times. They just don't like the way it sounds. It's not always pretty. It doesn't tell them what they want to hear. It tells them what they need to. And most people can't handle that. They'd rather keep searching for validation from strangers than face a truth that exposes their illusions. But the message doesn't change. It's patient. It waits. It shows up again and again in different forms, through different people, until you finally get tired of pretending you don't hear it. There's something almost cruel about how personal it is. You can't run from it. You can't hide behind excuses. It knows your fears, your secrets, your scars. It doesn't need to ask questions. It already knows the answers. And still, it speaks softly, not demanding, not forcing. Just reminding you that you were never forgotten. You think your life is small, insignificant, but the message proves otherwise. It's not addressed to whom it may concern. It's written in your name, sealed with intention, and every time you ignore it, life just gets louder until you finally pay attention. People expect messages to come wrapped in beauty. They want clarity, comfort, applause. But sometimes the most personal messages arrive through chaos. They come through betrayal, through loss, through nights that stretch too long. Because pain is a form of handwriting too. It writes truths you wouldn't otherwise read. The message doesn't always sound loving. It is loving, but it doesn't have to sound like it. Sometimes it shatters before it saves. Sometimes it breaks everything open so the light can finally get in. You ever think about how certain moments feel like déjà vu? Like something or someone is trying to tell you something again. That's not coincidence. That's repetition with purpose. The same lessons keep circling back because you keep refusing to learn them. The same patterns keep reappearing because the message hasn't been received yet. Life doesn't move on until you do. And when you finally stop running, stop distracting yourself, stop numbing yourself, that's when you realize the message wasn't chasing you to punish you. It was chasing you to wake you up. There's a kind of loneliness that comes with realizing the message was always personal. Because once you understand it, you can't hide in the crowd anymore. You can't unsee it. You can't pretend your choices don't matter. The message exposes everything fake. It tears down the walls you built to protect yourself. It reminds you that your story was never supposed to look like anyone else's. And that comparison was the thing killing you all along. It's not just words, it's instruction. It's a map, written in visible ink, waiting for you to read between the lines of your own life. People want control. They want to dictate how the story unfolds, how the message sounds. But that's not how it works. You don't edit it, you live it. Every day you ignore it, it gets heavier. Every time you run from it, it finds another way in. Through dreams, through strangers, through moments that feel too real to dismiss. Because what's meant specifically for you doesn't stop knocking. You can delay it, but you can't delete it. You can ignore it, but it doesn't disappear. It just waits, like a letter collecting dust on a table you walk by every day, pretending it's not yours. There's something terrifying about realizing the message knew you before you knew yourself. That every detail of your life, the good, the bad, the unbearable, was already accounted for. You're not improvising, you're unfolding. And the words were written long before you even existed to read them. That kind of design isn't accidental. It's intimate. It means that even your mistakes aren't random. They're reminders. That even the silence isn't empty. It's echoing something deeper. The message isn't trying to control you. It's trying to call you back to yourself. Most people will go their whole lives pretending they never received it. They'll fill their days with noise, drown their thoughts in distractions, and keep asking for a sign that's been sitting right in front of them all along. But those who finally read it, the ones who open it fully, they don't look at life the same again. Because once you realize the message was always meant for you, you stop begging for proof and start living like you already have it. Real love corrects. It doesn't just comfort. People have this idea that love is supposed to always feel good. Like it's a constant stream of soft words and gentle touches. They think if something makes them uncomfortable, it must not be love. But that's the biggest lie. Real love doesn't let you rot in your comfort zone. It doesn't sit quietly while you destroy yourself. It doesn't nod along to your excuses or let you keep pretending everything's fine when it's not. Real love gets its hands dirty. It shakes you. It confronts you. It calls you out when you're lying to yourself. Because love isn't about making you feel safe. It's about making you become something better. You ever see someone drowning in their own mess, and the people around them just keep saying, "You're doing great. Don't worry." That's not love. That's convenience. Real love doesn't watch you drown. It drags you out of the water, even if you fight it. It hurts sometimes. It humiliates you sometimes. It strips away your pride and your delusions because love doesn't care about your image. It cares about your soul. It's not afraid to make you angry because it's not trying to please you. It's trying to free you. That's the difference between fake love and real love. One wants to keep you happy. The other wants to keep you alive. But most people can't handle that kind of love. They call it harsh. They call it controlling. They call it too much. Because it doesn't feed their ego. It starves it. Real love doesn't flatter your insecurities. It exposes them. It tells you the truth no one else has the courage to say. It shows you the version of yourself you try to hide behind jokes, smiles, or silence. It's not the voice that says, "You're perfect just the way you are." It's the one that says, "You could be so much more if you stopped pretending." That's the voice people run from, but it's the only one that's real. You ever wonder why people choose lies over truth? Because lies hug you while they kill you. Truth hurts while it heals you. Love and truth are inseparable. And that's why real love feels like both a wound and a cure. It tears through your illusions, breaks the walls you built to protect your pride, and then it helps you rebuild piece by piece. That process isn't romantic. It's brutal, but it's real. And that's what makes it love. If it doesn't demand growth, it's not love. It's comfort dressed in kindness. Real love tells you no when everyone else tells you yes. It blocks doors you're not ready to walk through. It stops you from settling for less just because you're tired of waiting. It's not always obvious in the moment. Sometimes it feels like rejection, like punishment, like silence. But underneath all that pain is protection. Love won't let you destroy yourself, even if you call that destruction freedom. That's why the strongest kind of love will frustrate you before it fulfills you. It'll make you question everything before you understand anything. You think love is supposed to agree with you. No. It's supposed to challenge you. It's supposed to pull you out of your excuses and show you what you're capable of. Real love looks you dead in the eyes and says, I know what you're doing, and you're better than that. It doesn't whisper lies just to keep the peace. It breaks peace to build truth. And the people who truly love you, they're not the ones who always make you feel good. They're the ones who tell you what no one else will, even when it costs them your approval. The funny thing is, when love corrects you, it doesn't do it to punish you. It does it to remind you of who you are. It sees something in you that you've forgotten, something sacred that's been buried under all the noise, the fear, the failure. So it confronts you, not out of anger, but out of conviction. It refuses to let you settle for mediocrity when you were built for something higher. That kind of love doesn't need to be liked. It needs to be understood. People say they want real love, but what they really want is reassurance. They want someone who will tell them they're right, even when they're wrong. But love doesn't play that game. Love looks you in the mirror and forces you to face what you've become. It strips away everything fake, everything fragile, until what's left is truth. It's not cruel. It's cleansing. It's the fire that burns away everything you thought you needed. And yeah, it hurts. But the only thing pain ever destroys is what was never meant to stay. The most powerful love doesn't make you comfortable. It makes you honest. It doesn't let you stay broken just because it understands your pain. It demands healing. It demands change. It demands responsibility. And that's why most people walk away from it. They'd rather stay loved for who they pretend to be than be challenged into becoming who they're meant to be. But the truth is, real love never leaves you the same. It doesn't just comfort you when you cry. It teaches you why you're crying and how to stop breaking your own heart. It's not always warm, but it's always worth it. That's the kind of love that doesn't just hold you. It rebuilds you. It sees your cracks and calls them potential. It doesn't avoid your darkness. It steps into it. It doesn't protect your feelings. It protects your future. It's not the love that says, "You're fine the way you are." It's the one that whispers, "You're more than this." And in a world full of people chasing validation, that's the only kind of love that's still pure. Most people miss truth chasing attention. It's the tragedy of this generation, really. Everyone's shouting, but no one's listening. They confuse being seen with being understood, being loud with being heard. They'll post their pain online, turn their insecurities into captions, and wait for hearts and comments like they mean healing. They think attention is proof of worth, but it's not. It's temporary applause from people who don't even remember your name after they scroll past. Truth doesn't trend, it transforms. But transformation isn't flashy, it's quiet. And that's why they miss it. People say they want honesty, but what they really want is validation. The moment truth doesn't fit their narrative, they reject it. They call it negativity, judgment, hate. Anything to avoid facing the mirror it holds up. But truth doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care about your image, your likes, your followers. It's not trying to be popular. It's trying to free you. And freedom isn't something people like anymore. It's too heavy. It comes with responsibility. It requires you to let go of the lies you've built your identity around. And most people would rather keep pretending than rebuild from scratch. You see it everywhere. People would rather chase attention than meaning. They'd rather be talked about than be changed. They want the light, but not the exposure. They crave recognition, not revelation, because revelation demands accountability. It forces you to admit you've been wrong, you've been lost, you've been fake. But attention doesn't ask for anything. It just fills the silence long enough for you to forget how empty it is. That's why it's so addictive. Attention is the cheap imitation of purpose. It feels good, but it doesn't last. Truth, though, it lasts forever. It doesn't fade when the crowd leaves. It doesn't need applause to validate itself. It's not fragile like your reputation. It stands tall, even when no one's clapping. But here's the catch. Truth doesn't chase you. It waits, patiently, quietly, watching as you drown in the noise you've created. It's always there, right behind the curtain of chaos, waiting for the moment you finally get tired of pretending. That's when it speaks, not in a shout, in a whisper. And only the ones who've learned to silence the world long enough to listen ever hear it. The sad part is, people call that whisper weakness now. They've replaced depth with performance. They think vulnerability is exposure, not courage. They'll share their lives publicly, but hide their souls privately. It's all a game. How to look real without actually being real. How to speak truth without letting it change you. Everyone wants the illusion of authenticity, but not the pain that comes with it. Because truth hurts. It cuts through your excuses, slices open your illusions, and exposes every lie you've ever told yourself just to feel okay. And people aren't ready for that. They'd rather scroll than heal. But attention, it's a funny thing. It feeds your ego while starving your spirit. The more you chase it, the emptier you become. You start performing instead of living. You start curating your pain instead of confronting it. You start depending on strangers' opinions to remind you who you are. And the moment they stop looking, you crumble. That's the price of attention. It doesn't build you, it uses you. It's never love. It's just curiosity disguised as care. Truth, though, it doesn't need an audience. It doesn't care if you're liked. It just wants you to wake up. It'll ruin your fake peace so you can find real peace. It'll take away what you thought you needed so you can finally see what you've had all along. But people don't like that version of love. They want something softer, something that doesn't challenge their fantasy. They want a God who claps for their chaos instead of cleaning it. They want truth to sound sweet, not sharp. But real truth doesn't whisper pretty words. It burns. When you finally stop chasing attention, you start seeing how loud the lies were. You notice how much time you wasted trying to impress people who were never even looking. You realize how much of yourself you gave away to maintain an image that was never real. And then the silence hits. The silence where you finally meet yourself. The silence where truth starts to speak. And in that silence, there's no audience, no performance, no mask. Just you and what's real. That's the moment most people run. Because attention distracts you from emptiness, but truth forces you to face it. And facing it means letting go of the comfort of pretending. But you can't heal while performing. You can't grow while chasing applause. The world will keep telling you to shine, to stand out, to make noise. But what good is all that if you've lost your voice in the process? Attention is a drug, but truth, it's the detox. It's the withdrawal that hurts before it heals. It strips away everything fake until all that's left is something raw, something honest, something real. And maybe that's why so few people ever find peace. They keep chasing the spotlight, not realizing the truth was never out there in the noise. It was buried inside them, waiting for the silence to bring it back to life.